Hey Neil, how are you doing? How's London, man?
Hey, Sarbjeet. Yeah, cool. Panic, pandemonium, end of the world.
Yeah, it sounds like that sometimes, but other times seems like there's hope that
Yep.
some data coming from China and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, there's always hope.
Yeah.
So, what the streets of San Francisco telling you these days, man? This virus is kicking in, eh?
Oh, big time, big time. San Francisco, actually, we were hit in Santa Clara County, which is heart of the Silicon Valley first, right? A lot of cases there, relatively speaking, right? And then it kind of started spreading out to Alameda County and some other counties. And then what they did a few days back, about 4 days back or so, we are told to be shelter in place, means like stay where you are. You don't have to don't go to work. The employers were told to,
That's regardless whether you feel ill or not. Then,
yeah, regardless, everybody. So
wow.
all the employers were told by in Santa Clara County, they start doing that first, like to the Intels of the world or Apples, and they are in that county, right? So
Yeah.
headquartered there. Google is there too. So they start telling them work from home. They should ask their employees to work from home. So they started doing that. Some companies did take the lead. For example, Google was upfront, like, and then in city, Twitter was doing that before anybody else, and then everybody else followed. The banks followed later, and then like old guard companies, they start doing
Yeah,
that a little
yeah.
later, but high tech companies, because they can afford to do that, people can work from home. They already do, actually, a bunch of them work from home anyways on certain days, so they have to just
So how they coping with because I know San Francisco has a bit of a homeless problem. What about the homeless people there? They just left to suffer and die on the streets.
yeah, they're addressing that problem also by giving them RVs. So they're putting them in RVs. They got bunch of they sort of rented bunch of RVs, so
Jeez.
people are not on the street. So they are in their they have
Like
ventilation.
a like a uh like a hostel for the
Yeah,
homeless, right?
yeah, yeah. Those are
In a
RVs, right? So
motorhome.
yeah, yeah, they're mobile homes. Yes, exactly.
Jeez. You wouldn't want to be stuck in one of those.
I know, especially in this kind of environment, but it's better
No.
than being on the street for them, right?
Well, yeah, yeah,
Some of them will not know how to stay in because they might be mentally ill at the same time
yeah.
while they're on the street.
Well,
Tough times.
and tell you what, in London, it's craziness. I never thought I'd see the day when you know people will break out in a fight in a supermarket over toilet paper and rice. Right? It's crazy. Everyone thought if in my opinion, it's people are doing it. Have two ways of looking at this. Right? There's the type of person that's gone. Do you know what? It's a bit, which is probably be me. This isn't so bad, right?
Hmm.
Don't worry about it. It's a bit of the flu, and
Yeah.
stiff upper lip and carry on. And then there's the others that are going completely the other way, right? So there's no middle ground. And so you've got people that, yeah, well, if I get it, I'll get over it, and they just carry on as they are, not knowing that they've got it already. Right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the people that are stocking up like for their nuclear bunker in their garden, even though there's two of them, and it's just nuts, absolutely craziness, no in between. Do you get the same over there?
It is same here, actually. I was shocked. Even about 10 days back, I went to Costco and it's like all the water is gone.
Ugh,
I'm from originally back from India, you can tell, right? So the Indian groceries they have in Costco and all those dolls and the Indian flour thing, we call atta, that was all gone. People just like, if you need one or two, they're picking like five, so it's like people are going nuts. And then it got worse over, like, as time progressed, right? I think it's always a good idea to have stock some, like, food staples at home always.
yeah.
There can be earthquake, fire, whatever, right? But not to an extent where you're panicking and you say like, okay. And then it's also human factor, like human sort of kindness to leave something for others too. It's like,
Yeah.
no, people, I mean, these kind of crises, I think, bring best out of us and the worst out of us. And then, like, somebody said down Twitter, I think Twitter or radio, something I heard there somewhere. that how thin our veneer is for
yeah,
humankind, like how fragile we are, how delicate our institutions are, how
yeah,
delicate the governments are. Government is a veneer. Like we think they will
yeah,
protect us, they can, but look at this now. Like, what can they do? Like, not much. And
yeah,
I think the whole thing, what you are talking about, is boils down to communication and leadership. If our leaders communicated to us that, hey, you don't need water, or you need only this much water, or for these many, and the food supply will continue, but other things might stop. They started saying that 2 days back, which they should have told us
yeah,
15 days or 12 days back, that food trucks are not stopping. Yes, border is closed between US, Canada, whatever, US, Mexico, but goods are moving. Goods are moving between China and here also all the time. Still,
yeah.
never stopped. So people stop, but the goods are moving. So they didn't tell that. So people got scared, like, okay, things will stop coming and then we will not get the food and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dog's whining in the background, so I apologise.
No worries, no worries.
The you know, this week has been quite a monumental week for certainly in politics in the UK, but for globally with this virus. And one thing is just fascinates me, which is a fundamental mistake, right, that everyone seems to make, is that when we make these decisions to whether it's self isolate, lockdown, or literally close your borders, right? We go, yeah, that's the answer, but we haven't thought through how to support it or where it goes next. It's like we every challenge that the government seems to face, and this is quite pertinent for business really as well, is they think vertically, they don't think laterally, right? So, and I just give you a very very brief example. We got announced that the schools were all closing indefinitely. And go,
Yeah.
oh, that's a bugger, right? Um, Certainly for me, being a single parent, right? It's like, oh, but okay, I can live with that. But what are we doing with the schools, right? You're closing them, right? But you're not actually doing anything with it. If we were to turn at the same time, be prepared for the schools to become, like, for example, testing centres or support centres, right? Because you've got these huge, huge buildings that are
Yeah.
empty. Use them for something else. And they don't, the government never thinks laterally, right? It's always vertically. We get that problem, we'll fix it. Next problem, fix it. Next problem, we'll fix it, right? I always call that the Google approach, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
how Google, right? You build it once with multiple ways of connectivity out to whatever you want to do. You build it with the future in mind. You don't just knee jerk and go, let's close everything off and don't worry about it. You got to work from home too, and it's going to be a real pain for you to look after your kids for like 6 months, right? And work, but there you go, right? Um, they're
Yeah.
without anything behind it. There's no support behind it. It's nuts. So anyway, that's my rant, man. So
No, no,
apologies.
actually, I think different regions differ, even in state, like within California, for example, within country, like different states reacted differently because there's a lot of control, like states have in here in US, for example, in India, same thing, in China, provinces, and in UK, your counties
Yeah.
and other structures, whatever you have there, right? Is it, what is it called? States? No, there's no states in
Uh,
province.
no, they're like counties.
Counties, just counties, because country is very
Yeah.
small, right? So it's country and counties. So they have some, the leaders at county level, they did different things. That's what I noticed here. Even at the city level, some cities did some drastic sort of measures, and they will come out as winners. I think, like, they
Yeah.
leadership shows in these kind of times. I think it's the same thing. Like, planning at the state level takes different kind of
Yeah.
coordination as compared to planning at the city level. For example, my wife was sitting downstairs today and then having a meeting about, like, instruction, the online instruction, how we will approach it. There's a meeting on 20th, um, and some in a few days they have a meeting, um, about, like, what we did. They have to report to the board, right? how we're teaching kids. So here in the US, for example, in Bay Area especially, I don't know about the whole US. I think they're doing similar things. The kids are learning, but they're learning at home. So there's a
Yeah,
distance education programs put in place by school districts. They
yeah,
were already there for people when they're sick. Kids are sick at home. They like one or two kids that they can get the homework and they can do exercises, whatever homework they need to do, and then submit and all that stuff. And they had Google Hangouts and stuff like that. Google provided technology
see,
to
that's
some.
way more advanced than the UK, right?
Yeah, it's
You know,
again, it's by county and by different
yeah,
counties and cities, right? So yeah, so where my wife
way more
works,
advanced.
it's like it's Santa Clara County,
Yeah,
and the city name was Milpitas, and they had that for a long time. Actually, they used to get visits from other countries, China, Singapore. They will visit their school district to see what Google has provided them. Google used to bring a bunch of people to
yeah,
visit them. It's kind of hassle for them because they had to prepare for those meetings. That was like 6, 7 years back. So yeah, they are doing that here. So the kids are home, but they're learning.
yeah,
Adults are home, but they're working, kind of, right? But there's some work people that they have physicality to it. Like if you
yeah,
are a doctor, you cannot work from home. You have to see patients. You have to be
yeah.
there.
I saw a couple of startups tail end of last year that were playing around with facial recognition, picking up telltale signs of illness, and
Yeah,
it was quite interesting. Um, don't know. I must have a look and see what they're doing really, because they were playing around with the notion of having a virtual doctor
yeah,
and trying to automate a lot of that. But you know, it's easier said than done, right? And I don't know, but you know, what I will say is the the whole coronavirus over here, the two camps, right? You know, as I said before, you either take it seriously or completely not seriously. Right? And since this whole, my son rejoiced last night when the Prime Minister said no more school from Friday. He literally
yeah.
got up and run around the house going, yeah.
Yeah, kids.
I
Some
thought,
kids get happy, like, oh no, school.
all he thinks is like 6 months of fortnight, you know. And now it's like, oh, and reality sort of kicks in, you know, and you think, I take my dog for a walk today, thinking, all right, everyone's been told to stay in, not allowed to go out, not allowed to socialise, but I've got to take the dog for a walk. You know? So I take him through the woods, and the woods was even more busy than I've ever seen it. Right? There was more cars in the car park, and there was random guys just walking around the woods. You know,
Oh
you'd
yeah,
think they're on Grinder or something, right? Meet up with it around the corner, right, or something, right? But it was actually people literally just walking around because they're so tired of being inside.
yeah.
They want to get
Here,
out.
beaches in Miami. There were pictures on TV and on social media. Like people got out of beaches in Miami the day they said you have to stay in. Like the next day, it's like people don't want to be confined. They just want to go out. And then another thing was, and again, lack of information. Some people say, like they kept on saying that the virus cannot be airborne, right? So it will not be in the air. But now they're saying it can be flying around, like
Yeah.
for certain hours it can
Oh,
be in the air. So
are they really saying that now?
yes,
Oh
just
my
look it up.
God.
CDC and all some, yeah, it's coming from like, oh, we just did this study, like it's a quick study. It's like why people said that or something. It's crazy. Like the conflict is crazy, and the best of even the best of us are making mistakes. It
Mm.
just nature of it. It's crisis, right? So BBC yesterday did some live thing with your prime minister, and then
Yeah.
the live blog. I tweeted about it. They said there are 200,000 deaths from coronavirus. 200,000. It's not the deaths. It was 200,000 positive cases,
Yeah.
right? But somebody typed it. Somebody made a mistake. Human typing
Yeah.
said 200,000 deaths, and I took a screenshot of that and then put it out there.
God.
It's like, how can a leader in global media, if they can make the mistake,
Yeah.
anybody can, right? So I think it's just we have to be like, just slow down when you put anything out there. Make sure
Yeah.
it's right information, and And then on top of that, last night, the local news are here in the Bay Area are kind of tech news most of the time. Like many times they're like
Yeah,
tech news because a lot of companies are here. The Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, right? And Sheryl Sandberg, they're saying that we're not going to police the content on Facebook. They still said that.
yeah.
These people are jokers in a way that like, why
Why?
can't you put the CDC content on top, WHO
Yeah,
content on the top? Why can you make a little less money from ads for the next
yeah.
20 days? You guys are idiots, right?
Ah,
And
crazy. Then
they're just eroding their company's value, their leadership, their brand by being stuck to that point. Like, oh, we don't want to police content. It's UGC, user generated content, right? Like BS, right?
it's just
You can kill people.
people are dying, right? And I was
Yeah.
watching a CNN video was released about an hour ago, I think it was, and it was an interview and a sort of like a documentary of how SARS and MERS came around, and they had a higher mortality rate, but it it wasn't so far spreading, right? And they're trying to the same doctor, right, who did the whole modelling around SARS and MERS and got it right,
Yeah.
has now predicted that 40% of the population in the world are going to die, right? Yeah, I'm not joking, right? I'll send you the
Really?
link. And I went, eh? Because roughly 40% of the population will be the old and the very young, right? I'm talking
Yeah.
the toddler up to baby up to like 2 or 3 year olds, right?
Uh-huh.
And the older aged group from 55 onwards, right? They're the two big gaps, and that makes up for 40%. And he said he did this modelling, and it's like because it's so spreading so quickly, it's going to have such a higher mortality rate than everything else put together, and we don't know how to stop it. And I thought, if he's right, that's nearly half the population on the planet are going to die from this. So I don't know if that's quite true. We'll see, right? Let's hope not.
No,
But
no, no. I doubt that. I think we'll have a solution. It will be, I mean, like, of course, like nobody knows for certain, right?
yeah,
Another virus come in stronger than this, and it can spread faster than this. But I think if you look at the data coming from China now, if we believe in any of that, I think we have to believe in some of it.
yeah,
They said they didn't have any case yesterday, no new case yesterday, right? The thing is, like, there's a thing called herd immunity. Like when a lot of people get the same disease, then we develop herd
yeah,
immunity. So we stop getting that. We actually, our bodies start fighting that thing
yeah.
better than they did earlier because it's a new thing now. It's older, right? So I think that will happen. I think UK was going for that. I heard a lot of debate
Well, it's
from
like
UK.
the where we used to, where we both had kids, right? When the kids are young, we used to, if this one child had the measles, you'd bring them round, so they all
Yeah,
got it together, to
yeah,
develop their immunity naturally. But now we have like the MMR and the jabs and everything else. But I think you're right. It comes back to the basics, really, in the fact that I think we will develop natural immunity to it eventually, right? And I
yeah,
think some people are going to get it more severe than others. Right?
yeah.
Some people are
Definitely.
going to get
If you
really
have one,
mild.
yeah, actually, I think if we release some more data, people will be at ease. For example, the
Yeah,
average age of the person who's dying from um, this virus, coronavirus, right? COVID-19, to be more specific, like in each region. If we publish that, then it puts a lot of people at ease.
yeah,
And gradually that data started coming in. And the problem with the data is, like it's hard to collect. First of all, it's emergency. Like you don't want to ask the authorities, like, oh, we want data right now before
yeah.
while they're trying to save lives. And it's it's
Can
after
you
the
even
fact.
trust the integrity of that data? Like, can
And
we
it is,
trust
I
that,
think,
that China will give us the true, accurate facts, or Australia, or America, or England?
no, we
Whoever.
have. I believe in data most of the time. Like I, with some doubt, always. Right? Like data can be misleading, misinterpreted, but at the same time, we have intelligence on ground between countries. they can lie, but not just sheer lie. Not total. It can be total lie. So we have satellites to monitor cars moving. We can see that, like
Yeah,
how much movement is there in which country, where, right? How many, like there was a satellite image of like mass graves in Iran, for example. Like we can see stuff, right? So from satellites, I think having more lower level data, average age of person, for example,
yeah,
like dying from this disease, that helps. Then I think the weather data also matters, like which nobody talks about. Like
yeah,
what is the weather and where it started, and in the part of Italy where it spread fast, what is the weather pattern there versus where it's spreading less? Is it warm there, cold, it was raining? There's so many factors, right? And how many people are living in that region? What's the density of people,
yeah,
right? Is this high rises? Like a lot of people trapped in small set of buildings. If we look at Italy, there's very dense population in that area where it was spreading fast. In rural areas, it was spread. I believe. I mean, it's
yeah,
my gut says, or common sense. People are far apart, anyways,
yeah,
right? I think that's why in India it's spreading very slow, because 65+% of India is in villages or small towns.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the population sort of breakdown, if you will. How many young people are there? Where do they live? Is it urbanization? It matters, and they should say those things. They don't. It's just
I mean,
crazy.
what I've seen here though is just nothing that it really defies logic. It's the fact that the younger generation, when I go from maybe 15 to 25, right,
Yeah.
don't seem to care that much because they think it won't hurt them, right? And they're
my
still out partying,
my
they're
kids.
still out,
Yeah.
drinking away, having a great time. And but what they don't realise is that they're actually infecting each other and making it a more long and painful death for everybody else.
Not each other,
Spread, spread,
actually.
spread.
The thing is that it was known from early on that it will not impact the young people like it does to older people, but they can carry it. What that means is they can be carrying it, but they don't have any symptoms.
Yeah,
They can bring it home from school and give it to their mom, dad, or grandmother,
yeah,
grandfather, if they're home, right? So many families have their grandparents at home. So unknowingly, they can pass it on, and then that can kill those older people, right? So it's not that you and maybe I have it today. I don't know. That's the whole thing. The 15 days incubation period and all that stuff. It's really mysterious thing to
yeah.
detect till you get the fever. By the time you have already infected so many
Yeah.
people.
We need to have some way of testing individually at home.
Exactly.
Until that comes, we will never be able to literally to work out where it spread and the sheer quantity of it, because you have to go to the hospital to be checked, right? Nobody wants to go to the hospital because they'll think they're going to get it. So
Yes.
they're all staying at home, right? You go,
No, there
oh,
are so
don't,
many, factors deterring people from getting tested,
yeah.
like cost of it. And some people are illegal in this country. For example, they don't want to go to hospital, get caught, and shipped back.
I
If it,
think generally think the numbers are
oh
exponentially
yeah,
larger than
they're
what
much
everyone's now.
larger. Yeah, they're much larger. And Ray Wang, he is head of the analyst firm, Constellation Research here in the Bay Area. He was talking about he is very active on Twitter about this stuff, and that 8% of the people who are getting tested at Stanford here, which is in the Bay Area, um, 8% of people who are getting tested are positive. So that's pretty big number, I think. The
Really, eight
problem,
percent,
8%. Yeah, they're positive.
and that
So
was, my God, right? Okay,
yeah, and again, that oh, no, no, hold on. It can be very shocking, but at the same time, there are a lot less people. Oh, okay, only people who are getting tested are who have severe like symptoms. So we're not
or at
testing
risk.
everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're already very sick, so that number might be not that shocking that way. So if we were testing everybody, I think that number will go down. 'Cause, even if you don't have fear, we test you. I think that number will go down to maybe
Yeah,
1 or 2%, whatever that is. But I think that whole the data is can be misleading. But at
mm.
the same time, if we had more tests, uh, we will be talking differently now. And the problem, the one thing which is hard to comprehend for me is like, if for in US is like we are the most advanced economy in the world with a lot of means, right? Money,
Yeah.
kind of most liquid currency we have. We can do stuff quickly. We don't have enough tests. That's a failure from our, I think, federal government side, not be
We're
prepared.
talking interesting point. Talking about the government, both the UK and the US have made some crazy announcements this week, uh, based around the economic figures.
Yeah,
Interest rates are a prime example, right? Um, with the US and the UK dropping their trousers on the interest rates. I can't see that as a bona fide stimulus for any economy to say, yeah, I tell you what, yeah, times are tough. I'm going to cut my base rate to 0.1%, right? Well, that's great, but it's not really helping me much, right? And it's not going to stimulate and kickstart the economy as it should, right? Because the people that will see the benefit of that won't be the people that really need it, And,
yeah,
there's no, there was talk about negative interest rates, you know,
yeah.
and I thought,
Actually,
well, that's a bad way to go, right? And then you might as well add quantitative easing at the same time, right? Let's print some more money. And we're going to come out the other side of this. It's carnage.
no, no. I studied economics like in college, right? So I'm an economics major. There are two levers from the government side: like physical policy and monetary policy. Monetary policy is very quick to deploy. You can easily say the Fed can say Federal Reserve in the U.S.
Yeah,
can say that, and they're similarly studying in other countries, right? They can say we're lowering the interest rate like within half an hour. But when it comes to fiscal policy, like giving money to people or
yeah,
creating jobs or creating big projects and building bridges, hospitals, whatever that is, airports, that takes longer to plan. Right? Who will get that check,
mm.
for example, right?
And how
Uh,
do they get to that? Giving that check?
yeah, exactly. So that took a couple of days. They should have started that talk earlier, planned
Yeah,
that, but it's again like I think in 2008 our leadership was on top of stuff. It was pretty big
yeah,
shock thing there. Ben Bernanke and a few other folks like um, Timothy, what's his name was last name, and then the guy with the bazooka. They call it bazooka, right? So those three guys like saved the world economy, kind of literally by
yeah,
bailing out banks and bailing out some AIG here and some other companies. GM was bailed out
yeah,
also at that point by the government. So they actually were brave leaders, and they were in the forefront of the crisis. And they were not like behind. Here, what happened this time was people at top were behind, but people in states, some of them, they were ahead. They were screaming loud and clear, like, "We need to do this. We need to do this." And then
yeah.
these people on top said, like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, thanks for reminding us," kind of thing. It was like kind of pathetic. That's
I
how I
mean,
see it in US.
you know, it's like becoming a soap opera, right? You just don't know. They've got cliffhangers every day, and what's going to come out tomorrow, right? And you know,
Yes.
it it seems to me that I know this has taken every country by surprise, right? Completely.
Yeah,
We weren't prepared for it. We weren't really expecting it, but you know, maybe some good will come out of this and we
definitely.
come through this in the fact that we can now work together. Let's be more basic. Get back to basics of how we actually conduct working lives together, let alone how we see and work together for the future. I'm hoping that we come away with at least those 2 points rather than who makes money, who's not going to make money, who's gone bankrupt, who's had to have a fire sale because no one's flying to any particular country using a certain airline, and we don't have to have that bailout situation. We can club together right before that,
Yeah.
and some good will come out of this. But unfortunately, I don't think it will. I think there's too many capitalists in this world, right? That will want to capitalize on what the situation is.
Yeah, I think it will spur a lot of innovation, a lot of new business ideas, process, new business models, and stuff like that. And it will change the way we run the government and how we respond to crisis of these kinds, right? I think it will change that, and also it will spur some international cooperation between countries,
Yeah,
exchanging of data and stuff like that. And like one thing nobody wants is talking, but I started talking about this yesterday a little bit on Twitter. Is like food safety, like the global supply chains and the food safety standards around the globe
yeah,
set by UNO or WHO and stuff like that. They need to do some
yeah.
sort of, I don't want to use shit, like really shit around it, because okay, it,
Do you see how they treat the animals and how they dice and
exactly,
splice them in Wuhan, right? How
exactly.
can you get away with that, right?
Uh, uh,
That's just how, right?
Okay,
It's
so if correct me if I'm wrong, I think SARS started there,
yeah,
and coronavirus, this one COVID-19 started there. Like, why can't we hold some countries accountable for
yeah,
how they handle food and what they like? You can't tell them what to eat, but at the same time, like if you want to eat that stuff, like you make sure it's
yeah,
safe. Like
yeah.
here in US, if you find a cockroach in a restaurant, that the authorities will
You're
close
closed
that
down, aren't you? Right?
forever. They
Gone.
will lock it. Like they will give you warning one time, like if you don't clean it, it's closed. It's like locked there. And over there it's everything goes, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying only China, but other countries have like similar like
Well, it's
variations of
bordering on
that
being a
same.
savage, right? You don't cut. I mean, I saw what I saw, and when you've got people chopping up snakes, bats, and
Yeah,
every other kind of wild animal, right? That they've just
in the
had to,
street, and almost in the
and they're
street, like
chopping
in
it up
front of
on
you.
boards, on the same boards, right? Let alone
Yeah,
anything else, and then they're shipping it out. And people are eating that, right? I mean, people are eating that food. If
it's crazy.
different
I
cultures,
think we need
different
to talk
religions,
about. I think that talk will start like a little after, like a little after some time. It should. And a lot of people criticize Trump for a lot of stuff, and
yeah,
sometimes he says certain things which make a little more sense to me, because we can be politically correct and then die, or be
yeah,
like, okay, tell honestly like what this is,
yeah.
right? You don't want to blame China for example for this, like because we are in the trouble in this trouble right now together. We'll fix it, but we
Do you
need to
believe
look at
that
why.
conspiracy theory idea though?
Huh?
That it was man-made, that
No,
conspiracy
no,
idea.
that I think that has been debunked, because scientists have proven that it came from nature, if you will, not from
Is
lab.
that US scientists have proved that? Yeah,
Yeah, but who will benefit from it? The whole world is catching it. So like,
yeah,
yeah, it's we have nukes which are produced in labs, and we are living with nukes for 6 decades,
yeah.
7 decades. I think we can control that, but we cannot control this. So yeah, I think with some good will come out of it. And like, who sang that song? Like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Oh
So I
yeah,
think that will happen here. So
yeah.
as long as we survive, we'll be
It,
stronger.
it comes back to that. What we always end up talking about is IT fashion. Is what's trendy this decade comes back into trend 10 years later, but with slight twists and
Yeah.
called something else, right? Outsourcing and offshoring and onshoring was you know initiative 20 years ago, right? And it came back 10 years ago with a passion, and it's back again but different twists.
Yeah.
And
I think supply chains, right? Um, People will question that a lot now,
yeah,
especially food and drugs, and just your masks for hospitals, the beds where they're made. A lot of stuff was being made in China. I used to make a joke like, if there's a war between China and US, the flags we will wave, the American flags, will come from
yeah,
China.
yeah, but it's true.
Seriously, like because they're like 1 cent each versus 10 cents each here to make, right? So I think we have to rethink those supply chains, not because we want to put protectionism, Like we don't want to do the greater good, but for the safety of people, that those supply chains have to be rethought.
So what would you say, like a prediction or two of post-apocalyptic virus COVID? Um, what do you think may come out, and how could we? How do you think we'll be working as a global, nation, if you like, right across the globe? How are we going to be working together after the dust has settled? And this could go on for 6, 9, 12 months, if not longer. But do you think, what's your prediction of of things in the future?
I think if it prolongs, we will see greater coordination at the international level through UNO. WHO is just going to side agency, and some other agent like institutions like that, and G20 will get together. It's like, what can we do? Um, what can we move resources around between countries? How we can share data quickly? How we can share the know-how? Like, oh, you have a vaccine, we don't. Like, can we like collaborate on the finding vaccine? Can we speed it up? I think that will happen if it prolongs, regardless regardless if it prolongs or not. I think we will change the way we live as a society, like at different levels. Politics will change a little bit. The local institutions will be like beefed up for this kind of response, I think,
Yeah,
and it will jolt us that how delicate we are. There was a movie came like out a few years back. Me and my wife actually just ended up seeing that in theater, which we shouldn't. That kind of movie, movie,
yeah,
Contagion movie. Yeah, that was like you know how the movies are. They're exaggeration,
yeah,
scary stuff like this. This is actually happening in real life now. What they showed us in there,
yeah,
people dying on a like street or or like there's a sense of urgency. People are like attacking food stores.
yeah.
We're not there yet, but it can get there
It's a
sometime.
possibility, eh?
Yeah, people are buying
Be
guns
like a
here
scene
sometime.
from
Like,
the Walking Dead.
yeah, a lot of people have started buying guns here. In some,
Yeah, I
you
saw
know, this
that. I
gun
saw
culture
that
in the
on Sky
U.S.
News.
Yeah, because they think if there's a shortage of food, like people who will get the food is who have guns. People think like that, which I don't think like that, and a lot
No.
of people don't think like that. But still, some out there they do what they think, I
Do you
guess.
know the future of interesting? If we bring it back to a tech point of view, and something that we are quite avid users on social media, and from a business point of view, you know, there's no more IBM Think. There's no Google Next, right?
Oh yeah.
These global events are gone. Um, will they come back, and will they be back smaller events, or do you think it'll still be the global events? Do you reckon?
I think we will not start doing. We will not stop doing global events like World Mobile Congress. They will. I think they will continue as we pass through this, but there'll be more like stricter guidelines and maybe more checks and stuff like that. Um, this is like an accident. Like, you know, when we drive, we get into a car accident and we
Yeah,
drive for next 6 months like paranoid. Like, I'm gonna.
yeah,
It happened to me literally. I hit somebody from the back. Right, I was changing the radio station and ignored, and traffic stopped, and I hit somebody from behind. Like, very minor accident. For next, but I think 4 to 6 months, I was scared that I'm going to hit somebody. I was like keeping a lot
yeah,
more distance. So we will retain this memory for, and it will fade away, I think.
yeah.
So we will have, I think, on sorry, global events and local events and stuff like that. But this will be always on back of our mind for like a long time to come, that this kind of thing can happen. And people who are like a little scared, they will travel less, I think.
I'd like to see the impact of. I mean, Google are going to be doing their Google Next virtually. So will IBM, and I'm guessing the rest will start following suit for this year anyway. It'd be interesting to see the impact of that, and you know, from a marketing perspective, you know, not everyone's going to be on social media who will. For example, let's look at the data analysis of, for example, say 30,000 people normally go to an IBM event, right, called Think.
Yeah.
Now they're not, out of those 30,000 people, many do you think would view the conference or even have the ability to, or even have a social media account, right? Out of that 30,000 to be online for that event. It's
Yeah, I
very,
think, yeah, it would be a subset, right? Some people may listen. Like, you may have more than 30,000 for five
yeah,
minutes and then they taper off, right? I think we need, okay, I've said that many times on Twitter in the last 10 days or so. Like, we will see a lot more investment going into new set of work collaboration tools from like VCs
yeah,
into startups. So we'll see that actually. Any company which is doing that kind of work will get a lot more funding in for next 6 to 12 months, maybe longer, because we have to build the tools which mimic what we do when we go in person somewhere.
mm,
What is actually, what is that? Why do we go to the events, right? I mean, like if you think deep, we go there for camaraderie. Like we meet each other, practitioners meet each other, people who used to be um, talking on the social media, now they want to see face to face. Like we
yeah,
have done that many times, right?
yeah.
So it gives you that like personal, like, I shake hand kind of stuff, right? These days we
Do you
do
think
this.
VR and AR will play a big part of this now?
I think they,
Maybe it's the calling of VR, right? For virtual events now that's come of age, because VR was desperate to get a business model
yeah.
to embed it to start taking off, and maybe this is the perfect opportunity.
I think VR AR will take off. Like it will help VR AR, but the tools are not. It's not only not only the like what the screen we have and the headphones stuff like that. It's the type of production we do on the production side, and the tools like we need. Like for example, if there are like we're going on. Just imagine if this was online, right? And we were streaming it on Twitter, LinkedIn,
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
You pick like
Facebook,
few Facebook
Instagram, yeah,
and maybe two more, Twitch, right? So how do we get the comments coming from all those into one window? For example, there's no such. I don't know if any such tool right
yeah,
now, and we have to cobble it together right now. We have to monitor on different windows, like okay, who's saying what where, and if we go live on one platform and we just answer those questions and but ignore the others, people are like irritated, like what the heck, like I asked the question, nobody's. It's like people want that engagement.
yeah,
But if it's just one way, it's like a keynote kind of thing, like people can't ask questions. You set that expectation up front, like somehow a banner or something, like this is one way. We're not asking questions. Nobody does that, right? People go live and people are typing questions and they're spinning their cycle here, asking questions, thinking about the content, and they don't know if they will be answered or not, right? I think we need to have some tools using some AI or data sort of analytics that okay, the only good questions are shown to the presenters, right? And the bad ones, like there's a lot of noise also when you're online.
yeah,
The bad part is like some jerks are out there too. They will ask some funky questions or they will yell at you and say like "gosh, say you" stuff like that.
yeah.
Um,
It,
right? Yeah, so
it's
we have to
interesting.
sort that out somehow through technology, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the coming months, in the next 6 months, a lot of us will be at home. Um, oh, it's hard working from home when you've
It's
got kids in the house and
but
you've got to get work done, and you now have to homeschool your own child for the next 6 months. Not that I'm moaning. I don't want to moan about that, but it's. I think having worked from home for quite a while, it takes a certain discipline to be, to be effective. And you've
it's a
got
struggle.
herds of people now working at home. They've never really done that before, and it's I've seen a lot of buzz on social media about, oh, what should I do, and take regular breaks and do this and do that. And it's, and even somebody even recommended, well, if you've got a back problem by sitting down, stand up and use the ironing board as your desk. And I'm thinking, oh, really? Where do they dig these
Facts.
people from? Right? Let's get the ironing board out, and I'm just going to put my laptop on it, right?
It's
God,
hard. Actually, we get used to our seating, and actually we spend time and money and effort on proper seating, and
yeah,
sometimes these specialists come at work and tell you like, oh, you have to set it this way because you have back pain, and we do that, and then all of a sudden you have to work from home, and most of the people who are working from home, which they never did, they're sitting on the kitchen tables and
mm,
those chairs, right? And the kitchen tables are normally higher, and then you're
yeah,
typing like this, and then you'll get strain here, and in just a
yeah,
couple of days you're like totally tense, right? It can cause all kind of physical problems in your body.
yeah. I'd say there'd be a rush on people with bad backs.
Yeah, and a quick fix for that is like if you end up doing this, put some pillows on the seat underneath
Yeah,
you, because you can't go buy chairs right now today, office chair, and the stores are closed and all that stuff. But
yeah,
you can do some remediations, and yeah, move around, stretch, get out a little bit, not too much because we are uncertain about the virus being airborne or not. So yeah, stay safe. Wash your hands for 20
God,
seconds
wash your
with
hands.
soap. Don't sweat about the
Yeah,
sanitizer. That's less effective than soap, right? So do those things and stay healthy. And wash hands like crazy. Like I
I
wash
think
hands
if as a parent,
like
we
thirty
used to
times a
washing
day,
our
maybe more
hands
than that.
about 20, 30 times a day.
Yeah.
But as your kids grow up, you don't need to. But if you've still got younger kids, you wash your hands so many times during the day. It's untrue. But
Yeah. Actually, Americans were made fun of for being, paranoid about cleanliness worldwide. But now I think they will benefit from it during these kind of crises. Like they do a lot. Like Americans
yeah,
are paranoid about the germs, stuff like that. And I mean that's a good thing that it will help us this time. But it's a bad thing also. Like we have like our immunity is weak because we wash our hands so much. Our immune systems are a little weaker than if you were in, like, let's say in India, like where there's
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of stuff around you. So yeah,
So we've covered
a lot of
working
stuff.
from home, politics a little bit,
Schools,
schools. A
stock.
new way of working. Dare I
Yeah.
say it? The only thing really left is to to talk about. Have you got your samurai sword all ready for the zombie apocalypse when this virus mutates?
Yeah. I don't actually. This is how I think, no, personally. So if we are in that deep shit, I don't care about it. Like we're all
Yeah,
in it, right?
yeah.
So if
Don't
the
go
world,
getting an RV though.
no, if the world is ending, I don't care. Like if it's ending, right?
Yeah,
So it's like you can be little paranoid, but not too much. Like you can be worried a little bit, and worry actually makes you do things like prepare and all that stuff. But you
yeah.
cannot be paranoid. Actually, you can.
Do you find
That's what
that
I'm trying to
it's
say.
quite funny? My girlfriend came home from work the other day. She came home and started coughing,
Uh-huh.
and I'm looking at her like this. Wow. And then I start coughing, and she's looking at me like,
I know. I know.
and it's
I.
not trusting each other, right? It's mad, really. And I've started making jokes about it and pretend I'm coughing a lot more than I'm normally.
Yeah, I do that too. I do, and my wife hates that.
Yeah,
She's like, "Why are you making fun of this serious stuff?" It's like, to me, it's like, loosen up. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Yeah.
yeah. Life goes on one way or another, and whether I have a virus or not, everyone else will still. The world will turn, and I don't want to not go about and just do everything I used to do. I can't, and I shouldn't, in case
Yeah.
I do have
Exactly that.
this virus, and I don't really want to give it to anyone else. Um, but let's not let's try and put a braver face and more positivity out of it. I think a good lot of positive information, and if we use it properly, will come out of this whole episode.
Yeah.
We can work closer together, better, more effective, and more quickly, rather than having all these myriad of barriers in place to actually implement and do anything. Maybe we should be more flexible to knee-jerk, to rather than have a huge committee to go through to have sign-off for a certain policy. When something like this, a pandemic comes up, you need constant change and the ability to change very, very quickly. And I think if we get through this, maybe we could adopt some of those principles right across the board in business, in our lives, everything. That could be, and that will just spurn innovation faster. Whether it will happen that way, I don't know. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Like our ability to change quickly, that's what defines more progressive
Yeah,
societies than which are not, like regions, if you will. So keeping that in mind, when the information coming is conflicting and all that, be a little patient because everybody's trying their best. Be careful about the bad actors. They're exploiting
yeah,
you, and there are a lot of scams going on and stuff like that. But that thing will happen. Don't focus on that negativity too much, but think on the positive side also, like mm, how the governments are trying to cope up with it by giving some physical stimulus money to people. They're thinking about the businesses who or people who will not earn the money.
yeah,
There's a lot of there are a lot of good steps being taken, but while we do that, we will end up doing some damage to our systems, which we'll fix later. That's how the whole world works. Like
yeah,
we're never perfect, right? So give, I mean, at the same time, I would say that like there are a lot of missteps from the higher ups, but they're trying. Give them a break a little bit, but don't be too. I mean, the last thing we want to do is do this time is like politicize this big crisis. I mean, in some places it's being done. Don't do that. you know be a human first. Actually, maybe this is our chance to come back to more human values and helping each other and
do you
more
think
compassionate.
you know one or two things might happen? We become out of this more trusting of other countries and our neighbors,
Yeah.
or more distrusting?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we come out more trusting and more collaboratively, or we could be more insular and just work on our own country by country basis.
Yeah. I think i think it will be both. Like from that point of view, I don't think it will change much, but it will put things in perspective. I think, like
Mm,
how fragile life is when I mean, this happens all the time. When somebody comes closer to death or death like situation, it makes them mellow,
yeah.
right? It makes them nicer person. It's like, oh man, I could have died. If so, like assume I was like
They
very
be
sick
more
last year.
thankful for what they have.
Yeah, it's like they're thankful for the extra life or the life in general. Actually, I mean, that's how we should think. Like the fact that we're breathing is blessings. Everything
Mm,
else is gravy. But think like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
you will not be disappointed. And there will be some collateral damage, like during fixes, and some people will lose life and maybe wrong vaccine comes out or something. But that's how the world works. So how many people get killed in car accidents every year in US? You'll
yeah,
be shocked to hear, like 30,000 plus, right? um so the risks are everywhere, but that doesn't mean we don't take it not
yeah.
seriously. We should take this very seriously, but at the same time, don't stop living.
It's only by taking risks that we advance as a species, really. But
Exactly. Can you imagine when humans invented fire? What happened at that point? I mean, I can just imagine. Sometimes when fires broke out, it killed people, and people
yeah,
were afraid of
until
fire.
they learn to control it.
We learned to control it. We will learn to control these things. That's what I'm hoping.
Sadly, statistically, at as it stands today, if you're over 40, I think the age bracket in the UK, mostly 42 or 41 or 42% of all the deaths of COVID-19 in the UK have been from 40 to 40 plus, basically. Right?
Uh-huh.
The most diagnosed cases are 40 to 55. So is that saying that most middle-aged men don't wash their hands, right? For one, enough, or they should. Or why does most middle-aged men are contracting this virus? I don't quite understand that myself, right? But you know, uh, where I'm getting at, does the average UK person who's middle-aged, between 40 and 55, do they have a problem with hygiene? Right? It could be anything. Do they wash their hands after they go to the toilet? Do they do this? You know, I don't know, but it's alarmingly high rate for people
I
my
think
age and male, I might add. So it's a bit more than car insurance. It's a bit more distinct, where, you know,
I think it's a. I mean, we can use some common sense, right? And think why men versus women, right? Totally, like things are changing, but still people are traditional. More women cook food still,
yeah,
right? So when you cook food, you end up washing your hands
mm,
most of the time, right? And I cook food at home, but most of the dudes don't worldwide,
yeah,
right? If you're not cooking food and you don't feel them, your hands are not underwater, right? You're not making
yeah.
dough or you know like bread, whatever you're making, right? Cooking. So I think that's one thing. And then most of women take care of kids also or grandkids. They wash hands more. Uh, and and then also another thing is most men work outside. Like the kind of jobs they do can be like more sewage, dirty, whatever other like mechanic in the factories, and a lot of dust around all the stuff, right? Particles and plastics and whatnot. On road, truck drivers are mostly men, stuff like that, right? So it's just nature of business. Like more men worldwide are working
Do you think
than
that's a reflection as a whole on women in the workplace? And do you think it's
yeah.
just an isolated pocket? It's like, is it? It's still a male-dominated business world out there, and and
Yeah,
and it reflected with
this
these
time
pandemic results.
let's make it a joke out of it. This time it's working in favor of women.
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that
Yeah, who cares
inequality
about
in
salary as long as
that
they don't
in
get the virus, right?
inequality is working in their favor because less of them are in trouble. Seriously, actually, I think it's data. I mean, it can be also the body genetics or the makeup of our men are differently. Like they have different like organ sizes are different, stuff like that, than women, and so the body differences and stuff like that, and the immune system is, I don't know how different it is between men and
Yeah,
women.
yeah.
I'm not a scientist or something. I think there can be some physicality differences, right? But I think it's more of a behavioral
Hmm.
differences.
It's
My gut
interesting
says
to
that.
see, really, because I don't think equality in the workplace is as where it should be, without any doubt. I think I think with women striving to be an equal pegging on as men, yeah, absolutely, why not? And they should.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but I always say, be careful what you wish for, right? Because now I make a little bit of a joke out of this, but everyone having to live at home together, not going to work, I think in about 9 months we'll have the largest divorce rate cases that you'll ever see in the year, right? And then
Yes,
people realise that
a lot
actually they
more
don't
babies,
get
a lot
on
more.
as well as they should without something else in their lives as a focal point, right? And it really will test everyone's relationship with their partners to the nth degree over the next 6 months.
Yeah, you are in each other's face all day, and yeah, I think a lot more babies as well. So
Yeah, baby
hopefully,
Christmas. That's what it will be.
right.
What to say really. More Fortnite. for me with my son.
Yeah.
That,
I mean,
getting quite good at it now.
look at the positive side a little bit. Like you end up spending a little more time with your kids, which we don't normally. Talk about their career, talk about what they're going through, talk about their concerns, tell them about like greed and out there and how different countries are coping up with. Sally actually put up some good content there about like
Yeah,
what parents can do at home, and then she also put another piece of content like do this project with your kids at home, and that project kind of talks about like who's doing what and what is this crisis all about. And it gives us opportunity to talk to kids and make them better aware of things which we
yeah,
adults are but they are not, or they have may have some naive perceptions about, and we have seen that stuff. And it's time for us to educate kids, not only school kids but
yeah.
educate them. So
It's
yeah,
something you, Sully, and I are quite passionate about is putting something back
giving
to,
back, yeah.
you know, the educational point of view for tech. We've been there and done it and still doing it to some degree, but, you know, if we could actually educate the younger generation not to make the same mistakes we did,
Yeah,
the innovation will spurn even faster and give them a big head start.
yeah, it's doing like, in a way it's like it saves them a lot of time, right? It progresses society faster. We all need to do our part. We need to give back. Well, like paying forward, what we call it sometimes. Like somebody helped us, our mentors and stuff like that. We can help in like nowadays masses as compared to one on one or 1 to 3 people. Like I can help if I didn't have these tools. Yeah, like I know you are doing that. Sally's doing that, and a lot of other people are doing that, and Fawad from Microsoft, he's doing that. um, and just go to your local schools, universities, to, talk about your career, what you do, how you do it,
Yeah,
and it will encourage those kids and tell you about your childhood past. Like, okay, you know, for example, I always say I'm from a small village, farming family, not CS major, but I wrote a lot of software. You can do that too.
yeah,
So I started doing that recently, like just no money coming to me from that. I spend my own money on tickets and fly, and sometimes I do virtually, um, and talk to university and schools. Um, it feels good here,
it
and
does.
and it it helps you to hone your skills, communication skills, and all that stuff. It's win-win. It's yeah,
Yeah.
do it. All of you, if you're listening, watching, just really start doing it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's how
Exactly.
innovation is. It happens, right? Nobody learns from getting it right.
Yeah.
The irony of it,
And
you know.
if you have any questions from us, like how we have been doing it, how we have struggled through some times and we're still doing it times, talk to us, ask questions anytime. We're here, right?
Yeah.
Right, Neil?
In the meantime, be safe.
Yeah, stay safe.
I'm ready. So
I
I've got
don't
my
have anything like
my
that.
mask ready to take my dog for a walk shortly, and so and I'll be out with the unwashed.
Great. With that, I think we should wrap it up. Bye from San Francisco area, Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and
And
bye from London,
all right.
UK.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Neil.
Sarbjeet.
Talk
Great to
next
see you
time.
again, man.
Okay. Bye. It was a great
Bye.
session. Thank you. So I'll stop recording
Cool.
now.
That was quite a good conversation, man.
Yeah.